Okay, so let's be honest. You're doing everything by the book, right? You've got the stand-ups, the retros, the sprint planning. You have all the roles, you're running all the ceremonies. So why does it feel like you're just spinning your wheels? It's because you've hit something we call the Agile Glass Ceiling. You know, it's that invisible barrier where no matter how fast your team is pedaling, the whole organization's speed limit just never changes. Let's dig into why that happens. And look, if you're feeling this way, you are definitely not alone. It is the single most common frustration we see. Your team is getting better. They're getting faster, more efficient, but the results, the big picture results, they just aren't there. It's like you're doing agile, but you're not actually getting agile. And this right here, this is the core of it. You add more meetings, you refine your processes, and what's the result? Well, the same old approvals still get stuck. The same dependencies grind everything to a halt. It really feels like you're just trying to optimize your little part of a giant traffic jam. But what if I told you that this traffic jam isn't permanent? Seriously, there is a way to clear the road. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with making your car faster. It's all about redesigning the traffic system itself. You know, we worked with a product lead, David, who was in this exact situation, totally stalled. And he told us this. He said it was about seeing the whole system, not just our team. That shift in focus, that's what took them from complete gridlock to predictable, smooth delivery. It was never about having better stand-ups. It was about finally seeing the bigger picture. So let's really get into the mechanics of this trap, because I promise you, once you can see the trap, you can finally avoid it. The problem isn't your team's effort, and it's not their skill. It's a really deep fundamental misunderstanding of where agile transformations almost always fail. Think about it. Pretty much all conventional agile training puts the spotlight right here on the left side. The Scrum Master, the product owner, all the team roles. But that's not where the real problem is. The reality is that these roles are just small parts inside a much larger system. And it's the system that's broken. So here's exactly how it plays out. Step 1, your team gets faster. Awesome. But then what happens? Step 2, they slam right into the existing company system. You know, slow decision making, painful handoffs to other departments, ancient budget approvals. And that leads to step 3, leadership paralysis. This is where managers just don't know how to fix these big cross-functional problems so nothing changes. Your fast team is now just sitting there, waiting at a red light that never turns green. Okay, so if the trap is focusing too much on our own little bubble, how do we get out? This is where we pivot from the problem to the actual solution. We have to stop trying to tune the engine and start redesigning the entire road system. It's time to unlock what we call systemic flow. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this right here. Let me say it again. Agile is not about perfecting roles. It's about having the vision to see and then influence the entire system that your team operates within. It is a huge but absolutely necessary shift in your perspective. We call this approach systemic agile. And no, don't worry. It is not another complicated framework you have to go learn. It's simply a different way of thinking. It's about taking those powerful principles like transparency, collaboration, fast feedback that work so well for your team and applying them to the entire value stream from the first idea all the way to delivery. Now, to make this really practical, you have to start thinking on 3 different levels at once. First, the team level. That's your engine. It has to be well tuned. But that's not enough. You also need the product and flow level. Think of these as the highways your work travels on. Are they clear? Are there potholes? Are teams just colliding at interceptions because their work isn't coordinated? And finally, and this is the most critical, is the leadership and decision level. They are the air traffic controllers. If they're creating bottlenecks with slow approvals or constantly shifting priorities, it just doesn't matter how fast your engine is. You have to solve for all 3. Just seeing these 3 levels is the first huge step. But before you try to change the system, you need a shared understanding of what Agile is actually meant to enable. That's why we created our free Agile Starter Guide. It breaks down the real Agile values and principles, the ones that explain why teams get stuck in the first place, and why improving ceremonies alone never fixes the problem. If you want a clear, no-fluff foundation before you start tackling bigger systemic issues, download it using the link below. So, what this all comes down to is a choice. You can keep fine-tuning the engine of a car that's stuck in traffic, or you can become the architect of a whole new transportation network. So, let's wrap up what we've covered. First, we saw exactly why focusing only on team roles creates that frustrating glass ceiling you just can't seem to break. Second, we put a name to the problem, the system trap, which is that point where your team's amazing work gets blocked by the wider organization. And finally, we uncovered the solution. You've got to operate on all 3 levels at once: team, flow, and leadership. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some theory we came up with. This systemic approach is the very same way of thinking that we've used in the real world to coach over 500 teams and their leaders. It's a proven method for getting unstuck and creating real actual momentum. So, this is the question I really want to leave you with. Are you going to go back to focusing on making the team members just a tiny bit better? Or are you ready to become an architect of the system itself? That choice right there is what determines whether you stay stuck or you truly start to accelerate. If you're ready to make that choice to go from just being a team member to becoming a system architect, our workshop is designed to be your next step. We'll give you the exact playbook to 10x your team's impact, not by working harder, but by redesigning the system they work in. Go ahead and check the links in the description to get started.